National Nutrition Natural Health Reviews. 3 minutes of the latest naturopathic info with Canada's leading nutrition experts. Watch, learn, and get healthy naturally.
Hi there, I'm Naturopathic Doctor Jonathan Beatty, a health expert here at Nationalnutrition.ca. The adrenal gland is one of the most important glands in the body. I always call it the master override switch, and the reason behind that is it's the gland that actually controls the human stress response. It's one of the most important glands in the body because it can actually control blood pressure, blood sugar concentrations, it controls sex hormone production, it can help regulate the immune system, and also help to regulate the thyroid's function. It's because of this that adrenal gland disorders become so problematic. It's a very, very important gland. It actually is what dictates the kidney to hang on to fluid or to excrete fluid. So that's actually how it controls blood pressure. But it's designed to help our bodies respond to stress. It's the gland that helps us survive, say, an attack by an animal. It's that fight or flight responder. And it actually has two parts, what we call the adrenal medulla and the adrenal cortex. The medulla produces your epinephrine or your adrenaline. Of course, think about where the name comes from there, adrenal in, right, from the adrenal gland, as well as it produces, and then the cortex produces our cortisol. It produces our aldosterone or our steroid hormones. It actually produces a large amount of our sex hormones. We often talk about things like progesterone and testosterone and estrogen being formed in either the testes or the ovaries, but in fact, a large portion of those hormones are actually produced by the adrenal gland. And this is why it's so important that the adrenal gland is working properly, because when you have a disorder of the adrenal gland, you can get a number of symptoms that occur. So at the most severe, you can get what we call congenital adrenal hypoplasia, in which the adrenal gland does not form correctly. And so because of that, what ends up happening is the body can't produce adequate hormone levels for the person to develop. And so this can actually be a very life-threatening condition. It's probably the most serious of all the congenital adrenal disorders that exist. You can also get things like Addison's disease, or you can also get something called Cushing's syndrome. And again, these are other disorders whereby the cortex of the adrenal isn't producing the corticosteroids properly, and that's going to lead to a variety of disease symptoms. So these are very severe conditions. Now, on the lesser note, we can get what we call adrenal insufficiency, which is where the adrenal gland is not producing adequate levels of cortisol. And then you can get what we call adrenal fatigue, where the adrenal gland is still working, but it's just not responding to stressors the way it's supposed to. And so it produces adequate levels of hormones, but it doesn't produce them at the right rate or at the right times of day. It's when the adrenal gland is first starting to fail, and that's going to create a number of symptoms. If you suffer from what we call orthostatic hypotension, so if your blood pressure drops when you stand up, that lightheaded on rising, it could actually be related to an adrenal disorder. If you have excessive what we call photosensitivity, where bright lights really bother your eyes, or you have trouble driving at night because of oncoming traffic, that can actually be related to an adrenal disorder. As well, that mid-afternoon fatigue is often related to an adrenal disorder, and certain types of insomnia, especially if you have no trouble falling asleep, but you find you're actually waking up in the middle of the night. Oftentimes what's happening is your adrenal gland is firing in the middle of the night, releasing a large number of stress hormones, and that wakes you up from a dead sleep. That's that waking with the active mind. That can again be a sign of an adrenal disorder. So if you suffer from these symptoms, it's best to get it checked out to see at what level your adrenal disorder is, whether it's serious and may need some significant medical intervention, or whether it's the more minor type that you can manage yourself. So if it's the minor type of adrenal disorder, look at supplementing with some really basic things. Good old vitamin C as well as a B vitamin supplement going to be really helpful. The adrenal gland uses a lot of antioxidants, it uses a lot of vitamin C, and it uses a lot of B vitamins in order to perform its daily tasks. So just ensuring adequacy of these nutrients is really going to help the adrenal gland to work properly. And then the other thing I often recommend people consider is to actually use what we call an adrenal glandular. And what that is essentially the ground up, dried up adrenal gland of a healthy animal. So they'll only use animals that are raised in very stress-free environments because of course you want an adrenal gland that's healthy to extract the glandulars from. And of course, what other gland has all the nutrients required for the adrenal to function other than the adrenal gland? And so this is where, again, adrenal glandulars are available, and sometimes they even break it right down to whether it's adrenal medulla glandular or an adrenal cortex glandular, depending on the specific needs of the individual. So if you do suffer from adrenal disorders, I hope this has helped you at least a little bit, especially if you had all those symptoms and didn't realize what was causing them. I hope this video has really helped you out, and hopefully you can follow some of the advice and feel a whole lot better. So check out more of our natural health videos, subscribe, and if you have any questions or comments, post them below, and always remember, knowledge is health.